is it that you talk about Michael Jordan like LeBron James is in the same sentence as him? Why do you do that?
Hold on.
Anybody that played in that era would tell you there could not possibly be another option because Michael Jordan was head and shoulders above them all.
Now, LeBron ain't had a nemesis because the league changed. Got a little softer. Your definition of a nemesis was Roy Hibbert and Paul George and those.
Before LeBron James became a household name, before Kobe Bryant mimicked every fadeaway, before Steph Curry stretched the court with limitless range, there was one man who defined greatness and inspired generations: Michael Jeffrey Jordan. This is not a debate. This is not about who has the most points or the longest career. This is about who set the bar so high that the game itself revolved around trying to catch up. Stephen A. Smith said it loud and clear. Jordan is not just the GOAT. He is the blueprint, the foundation, the very mold that the modern game was built from. And no matter how many stats LeBron racks up or how many rings other stars chase, they are all chasing the shadow of a man who did it first, did it harder, and did it with a level of dominance the league may never see again. In this video, we break down 12 brutally honest quotes from Stephen A. Smith that expose the gap between Jordan and every other name ever mentioned in the GOAT conversation. If you are tired of revisionist history, if you believe in greatness that did not need to be manufactured or sold, if you stand for legacy that echoes across continents, then hit that like button, subscribe to NBA Showdown, and drop a comment below letting the world know why Michael Jordan set the bar no one can ever touch. Stephen A. opens the floodgates of truth by saying what everyone from Jordan's era already knew. There was never a comparison. Anyone who played in the late 80s and 90s will tell you flat out that Michael Jordan was not just the best, he was untouchable. His aura, his ability, and his impact put him so far ahead of the competition that there was no point pretending it was close. When Stephen A. says Jordan was head and shoulders above them all, he is not exaggerating. He is reminding us of the fear, the respect, and the helplessness that opponents felt when they faced MJ. Larry Bird called him God disguised as Michael Jordan. Magic Johnson admitted Jordan had surpassed them all. The league bent to his will. The rules evolved because of him. And most importantly, no one questioned it. That kind of reverence does not exist anymore. Today, we have debates. We have social media campaigns. We have fabricated narratives about chasing the ghost in Chicago. But in Jordan's prime, there were no ghosts. There was just one man haunting the entire league. The fact that Stephen A. still has to say this out loud decades later proves how stubborn some people are in accepting the truth. Jordan's greatness was not up for discussion. It was common knowledge. Anyone who lived through it knows there was Jordan, and then there was everybody else.
Anybody that played in that era would tell you there could not possibly be another option because Michael Jordan was head and shoulders above them all.
Stephen A. throws the hardest punch when he questions how we even arrived at the point where LeBron's name is mentioned in the same breath as Jordan. He directed this at Scottie Pippen, a man who shared every inch of the battlefield with MJ. This is not about points. This is not about stats padded in meaningless games. This is about the cold reality of legacy. When Jordan was on the court, no one wondered who the alpha was. He demanded the spotlight and owned the moment. He shattered dynasties, humiliated superstars, and did it all without asking for help from another city. LeBron has had incredible longevity, but he also had moments of doubt, of defeat, of failure in the biggest stages. When Stephen A. asks how LeBron is even in the same sentence, he is voicing what many fans feel deep down. This generation has tried so hard to elevate LeBron that it forgets to respect the man who gave them the model to imitate. Jordan never switched teams to chase a ring. He made the Bulls the standard. LeBron chased greatness. Jordan defined it. That is why every time we compare the two, it feels forced. It feels political. It feels like we are insulting the very legacy that made basketball what it is. The truth is hard for some to swallow, but Stephen A. spits it out with no filter. Jordan is the name everyone is trying to reach, and most have not even started climbing.
Dan, how is it that you talk about Michael Jordan like LeBron James is in the same sentence as him? Why do you do that?
Hold on.
When Stephen A. agrees with Jay Williams that Michael Jordan should have zero regrets, it is not just admiration, it is validation. Jordan lived the career every player dreams of. He did not leave anything on the table. 6 trips to the finals, 6 victories, 6 finals MVPs. He never saw a Game 7 in the finals because he did not let it get that far. That is perfection. That is domination. That is why he can sleep at night, knowing he gave the game everything and left as its undisputed king. When you look at LeBron's career, what do you see? Missed finals opportunities, championship losses, super teams that did not work, a legacy still trying to prove itself with every passing season. Jordan does not need validation. He walked away on top twice and still came back to show the world he could drop 40 at 40. That is how you leave a legacy. Stephen A. knows the weight of that. He is not just talking as a fan. He is speaking from decades of covering the game, watching players struggle with regret, doubt, and legacy management. Jordan has none of that. He played with an edge, a fury, and a level of competitive psychosis that made every possession a war. That kind of intensity does not create regrets. It creates legends, and legends do not ask ask what if, they say, I did.
Well, Jay, I completely agree with you. I don't think he should have zero regrets either.
Stephen A. Smith makes it crystal clear. When you talked trash to Michael Jordan, you were not poking a bear. You were digging your own grave. That man didn't just play basketball. He hunted, he stalked, he devoured. You open your mouth around Jordan, and he will make sure you never forget it. That is not folklore. That is documented history. Ask Clyde Drexler. Ask Gary Payton. Ask Byron Russell. Every one of them, and so many more, tried to poke the lion and got mauled on national television. Jordan turned slights into slaughter. This quote from Stephen A. is not about trash talk. It is about how Michael Jordan wired his entire mentality to dismantle anyone who dared challenge him. He did not just want to beat you, he wanted to erase you. When Smith says Jordan wants you, he is saying Jordan took every insult personally and responded with devastation. That killer instinct was not for show. It was not curated for social media. It was not a brand. It was who he was. You trash-talked Jordan, and you triggered the most relentless competitor the sport has ever seen. That mentality is extinct today. Players laugh with opponents before games. They exchange jerseys and hugs. Jordan did none of that. He wanted to punish you for stepping on the court. This is why he was feared. This is why Stephen A. continues to hammer this truth. No one has ever matched Jordan's ruthless focus. LeBron may have his highlights. Kobe may have mirrored the footwork, but no one replicated the fury that lived inside Michael Jordan. That fury made champions back down. It made teammates rise or get replaced. It made the entire league bend to one man's obsession. This was not basketball. This was domination, and domination is what set Jordan apart. The bar is not about numbers. The bar is about the attitude to destroy everything in your way. Jordan set that bar, and no one has touched it since.
Talk that junk to Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan wants you. Make no mistake about it.
When Stephen A. says that Jordan came into the league with an assassin's mentality, he is not using hyperbole. He is documenting a reality that shook the NBA from the moment Jordan laced up his sneakers in Chicago. Most rookies try to adjust. Most rookies take time to adapt. Not Jordan. He arrived like a force of nature, slicing through veterans, dismissing egos, and announcing his presence with every dunk, every mid-range jumper, every defensive lockdown. The term assassin is not just about his scoring. It is about his mindset. From day one, Jordan saw the game as a battleground. He studied his opponents, identified weaknesses, and struck with precision. He did not look for help. He did not hide behind teammates. He took the ball, took the responsibility, and took your soul with it. Stephen A. is honoring a truth here that the newer generation forgets. Jordan did not grow into greatness. He was born with it. That intensity, that sharpness, that fire, it did not develop slowly. It exploded immediately. LeBron had potential when he entered the league. Jordan had purpose. That is a monumental difference, and it is that difference that made Jordan the ultimate competitor. When players today need time to develop their bodies, build chemistry, or figure it out, Jordan already knew who he was. He was a killer with a mission. This mindset separated him from every other player then, and still does today. It is why when you watch Jordan highlights, you feel something different. There is a coldness, a ruthlessness, a hunger. He was not trying to impress. He was trying to conquer. That is what Stephen A. means when he says assassin. You do not negotiate with one. You run or get eliminated. Jordan came into the league as that and never stopped being it.
What he ultimately developed over the years, Jordan came into the league with an assassin.
Stephen A. Smith exposes a brutal truth that LeBron fans refuse to acknowledge. The path for LeBron was never as treacherous as it was for Jordan. When Stephen A. says LeBron never had a real nemesis, he is not trying to diminish LeBron's accomplishments. He is showing how different the eras truly were. Jordan had the bad boy Pistons waiting for him in the East. He had to dethrone Magic's Lakers in the finals. He had battles with Barkley, with Ewing, with Reggie Miller. These were men who would break your ribs to stop you. It was physical, it was violent, and Jordan thrived in it. LeBron's rivalries, on the other hand, were softer, watered down. When Stephen A. sarcastically names Roy Hibbert and Paul George as LeBron's so-called nemesis, he is laughing at how light the resistance was. That is not a knock on Hibbert or George, but if those are your villains, then the path was never dark enough to compare. Jordan earned every inch of his dominance. He climbed a mountain of giants and left them broken in his wake. LeBron's career, while long and productive, had far fewer wars. He switched teams to form super squads, found smoother roads in the East, and often benefited from rule changes that protected star players. Jordan did not need those crutches. He faced the harshest, cruelest, most competitive version of the NBA and came out spotless. That is why his 6 rings shine differently. That is why the scars he wore mean more. Stephen A. is forcing fans to accept this uncomfortable truth. Without a worthy nemesis, LeBron's road can never match the grit and grind of Jordan's era. And if the climb was easier, then the peak never felt as earned. Jordan earned it all, and he earned it against monsters.
What he ultimately developed over the years, Jordan came into the league with an assassin.
Stephen A. Smith doesn't just give flowers to Michael Jordan. He traces the entire ecosystem of modern basketball back to him. When he says that Jordan gave birth to the LeBron James lifetime deal, the Steph Curry lifetime deal, the Kevin Durant lifetime deal, what he is telling the world is that none of these million-dollar contracts, sneaker empires, or global endorsements would have existed without the groundwork that Jordan laid. This is more than influence. This is creation. Jordan is not just the face of a brand. He is the blueprint. Before Jordan, NBA players were athletes. After Jordan, they became global icons. Before Jordan, endorsements were nice. After Jordan, endorsements were empires. That transformation didn't happen by accident. It happened because Jordan's dominance on the court was matched by his cultural takeover of it. He wasn't just selling shoes. He was selling excellence, obsession, and immortality. And the world bought in. That's why Nike turned into a religion with Air Jordans at the center. That's why every player today chases not just championships, but branding deals, signature shoes, and commercial clout. And that's exactly what Stephen A. is hammering down. The billion-dollar wave that these modern stars ride was created in the wake of Michael Jordan. LeBron didn't create the playbook. He inherited it. Durant didn't innovate the system. He profited from it. Curry didn't rewrite the rules. He's just thriving in a game that Jordan revolutionized. The business of basketball, the glitz, the money, the fame, all of it was birthed by Michael Jordan. That legacy is deeper than rings. It's about impact. It's about how Jordan elevated the role of a player into something untouchable. And that level of influence, that's the true bar. It's not just what you do during your prime. It's about what your existence makes possible for generations after. Jordan did that, and no one, absolutely no one, has done it the way he did. When Stephen A. points this out, it's not nostalgia, it's historical fact. Without Jordan, the entire financial structure of modern NBA greatness collapses. Every superstar should be writing Jordan a thank you check every season. He didn't just raise the ceiling, he built the entire house.
The LeBron James lifetime deal, the Steph Curry lifetime deal, the Kevin Durant lifetime deal, all was birthed with Michael Jordan.
When Stephen A. Smith reminds us that Michael Jordan was the first 40-year-old to drop 40 in an NBA game, he's not tossing out a cool stat. He's throwing gasoline on the fire of the Jordan legacy. That number is not about age. It's about defiance. It's about telling time, critics, and the entire NBA that greatness does not retire. Jordan wasn't supposed to come back. He wasn't supposed to lace up again. But he did. And at an age when most players can barely keep up in practice, Jordan dropped 40 on professional athletes who were in their prime. That is not just impressive. That is mythical. It spits in the face of logic. It laughs at limitations, and it confirms what Stephen A. has been screaming for years. Jordan was built different. This performance wasn't a farewell tour highlight. It was a warning, a declaration that even on the brink of middle age, Jordan was still the standard. You cannot name another player in history who came back from retirement on a new team in a new era and still looked like a god among mortals. That game wasn't about scoring. It was about legacy. It was about making sure the next generation understood that you don't crown the next king until the real one says he's done. And even then, you better think twice. Jordan's 40 at 40 is a metaphor for his entire career. When you think he's done, he rises. When you think the league has caught up, he speeds away. That game was not about nostalgia. It was about relevance. It was Jordan's way of saying the bar is still right here, and none of you are touching it. Not LeBron, not Kobe, not anybody. Because greatness doesn't fade. It doesn't slow down. It burns hotter with time. That's the truth Stephen A. is pointing to. Jordan didn't just play basketball. He challenged the rules of aging and won.
Michael Jordan was the first 40-year-old to drop 40. That's number one. It's an imitator.
Stephen A. Smith delivers one of his most brutal shots when he declares someone is an imitator, not an originator. And you don't need a name to understand who that shot was fired at. It is aimed straight at the modern stars who borrowed Jordan's style, copied his mannerisms, took his blueprint, and called it their own. Imitation may be the highest form of flattery, but it is not the same as invention. And Stephen A. is here to remind everyone that while many may play like Jordan, dress like Jordan, or brand themselves like Jordan, they will never be Jordan, because you cannot copy creation. You cannot duplicate revolution. Jordan did things that the league had never seen before. He brought a combination of elegance, brutality, finesse, and cold-blooded determination that turned basketball into art. Everything players do now, the fadeaways, the signature shoes, the mental warfare, the global branding, came from Jordan. He did it first, he did it best, and he did it in an era that was built to break you, not protect you. LeBron may have more assists, Kobe may have mirrored the moves, but none of them originated the spirit that drives the modern NBA. That came from Jordan. And when Stephen A. says imitator, he's telling fans to look deeper. Don't be fooled by highlights. Don't be distracted by stats. Ask yourself who inspired it all. That answer is one man. The man who walked so every other star could run. The man who dominated before social media, before super teams, before friendly rivalries. Jordan didn't just play the game. He authored the manual, and now everyone is reading from it, hoping to capture just a fraction of what he had. But a copy is never the original. That's what Stephen A. means. Jordan set the bar by being the bar, and no imitation, no matter how shiny or successful, can change that. Stephen A. Smith expressed deep frustration when he said it saddens him that we have to travel across the ocean to hear the truth about Michael Jordan, that he is the greatest ever. This isn't just commentary. This is a plea to wake up, a plea to remember who built the foundation of everything basketball has become. It is heartbreaking to think that a nation so obsessed with the NBA can forget the man who shaped it. Jordan is celebrated in Italy. He is revered in Asia. He is studied in Europe. Yet in his own backyard, people are too quick to prop up the next superstar, crown the next king, and argue for the next legacy. This, Stephen A. says, is not just wrong, it's disgraceful. Because if the rest of the world still sees Michael Jordan as the standard, then why are we even having these conversations? Why are we trying so hard to equalize him with players who simply do not belong in the same category? There is no metric that can explain how Jordan moved culture. There is no statistic that quantifies the psychological grip he held over the league. And there is no comparison that can truly define what he meant to the game, not just as a player, but as an icon. That is why it hurts to see his greatness so often debated, because while we are bickering over rings and efficiency ratings, fans in other countries are simply bowing in respect. They see what Stephen A sees, that Jordan is not just a memory, he is a monument. He is not just part of the past, he is the standard for the present and the aspiration for the future. And if you forget that, then you are forgetting the very soul of basketball. Stephen A is not emotional for the sake of nostalgia. He is emotional because the man who gave us everything is now being measured against players who inherited a league he built. And that should make every real basketball fan angry, because to forget Jordan is to lose the heartbeat of the game.
Saddens me that we have to travel across the ocean to see people from another country recognizing what everyone in America should already know. Michael Jordan is the greatest.
In another emotional punch, Stephen A. Smith made it clear that it is not just sad, it is outright shameful that the declaration of Michael Jordan being the greatest ever has to echo from Italy instead of roaring from America. Imagine that. The greatest player in the history of basketball, the face that turned the sport into a global empire, is being more celebrated on foreign soil than in the country that made him. What does that say about us? What does that say about the state of the conversation? Stephen A. is right to be furious. Jordan should not need validation from overseas. He should be canonized here, at home, in the arenas he dominated, and in the culture he transformed. Instead, we get caught up in the what-ifs, the maybe LeBron, and the constant cycle of revisionism. But go to Italy, go to China, go to any country that fell in love with the game because of Michael Jordan. There, the truth is simple. It is pure. It is loud. Jordan is the greatest ever. And when that kind of reverence comes from a place with no American sports bias, it carries even more weight. It means the myth of Michael Jordan was not a creation of media hype. It was the result of undeniable generational dominance. And the fact that Americans have become so obsessed with chasing next that we've forgotten forever is a tragedy. Stephen A. is not just ranting. He is reminding us that if you need foreign fans to tell you who changed the game, then maybe you never truly understood what greatness was in the first place. Jordan's greatness does not need to be debated. It needs to be honored. And if Italy can scream it, then so should we.
Michael Jordan is the greatest ever. And the fact that that sound has to be echoed in Italy.
There is a reason why Stephen A. Smith firmly states that no one ever looked at Michael Jordan and said it was his fault, because there was never a moment, never a game, never a series where Jordan let you down. That is a level of consistency that does not exist in today's NBA. Players have bad nights, players have off games, but Jordan had standards. He didn't lose in the finals. He didn't get swept. He didn't disappear when it mattered most. And because of that, nobody ever had to make excuses for him. There were no what-ifs, no if only his teammates showed up. No, he didn't have help. He showed up every time, every moment, every possession. Jordan made it clear that being the best was not about stats. It was about responsibility. When he stepped on the court, he owned the result. That is why fans, teammates, and coaches never pointed fingers at him. He carried the pressure, he welcomed the blame, and he delivered the results. That is what separates him. That is what makes him untouchable. Stephen A. isn't just highlighting a fun fact. He is pointing out the core of Jordan's legacy: reliability. In a sport where narratives change with every missed shot, Jordan's story never needed an editor. He wrote perfection, and perfection is unblameable. That's what today's fans need to understand. That's what the LeBron generation forgets. It's not about how long you play. It's about how you played when the lights were brightest, and Jordan never needed defending, because his game did all the talking.
Never, ever did anybody look at Jordan and say it was his fault.
Stephen A. Smith's message across every quote is not subtle. It is a war cry, a bold, unapologetic declaration that Michael Jordan is more than the greatest basketball player of all time. He is the origin, the architect, the godfather of everything this league has become. From the way players move, to the way they brand themselves, to the way they chase immortality, it all traces back to Jordan. This isn't just about being better. It's about being first, being fearless, being legendary in a way that statistics alone could never capture. Jordan didn't just dominate. He set the bar so high that everyone who came after is just grasping at shadows. LeBron, Kobe, Curry, they all walked through doors Jordan kicked open. They are great, but Jordan is sacred. His influence stretches across decades, across borders, across the very fabric of the sport. And yet, even as the league evolves, the name on everyone's lips remains the same: Jordan. That is what legacy looks like. That is what greatness feels like. Not just remembered, revered, not just watched, worshipped. So the next time someone dares to put another name beside his, remember what Stephen A. Smith has told us over and over: Michael Jordan isn't just the GOAT. He is the mold, and no one has ever broken it.